quite early. So look for that to be another factor here at some stage in these next few starts.
So Peter Burling, who will not be disrupted seemingly, seems impervious to pretty much everything, the pressures and the stresses of top-level competition, and indeed some of the jibes and taunts coming his way from the pit bull, Jimmy Spithill. And those mind games worked so well against Dean Barker 4 years ago. The American helmsman is not enjoying quite the same success this time around. New Zealand this time with port entry.
Oracle quite late coming into the start line box. They're going to be almost 7-8 seconds late coming into the box. We'll see if that becomes a factor.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, made.
Let's check in with Freddie Carr again. Freddie, any hints, any thoughts or observations from the previous start and everything that happened that time around as to what we're about to see now?
Well, I'd expect New Zealand to lead back here, being the port entry boat, and that sets up Jimmy Spithill with what he'd want. It'll give him the opportunity probably to tack up here and set up an aggressive push to the ley line and put him on the front foot in the last 30 seconds.
Okay, 1 stick. Get into this quickly here. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1, mate. Up. Yeah, and pushing, banger.
Race number 6 then of the America's Cup match. USA against New Zealand, Spithill against Burling, the defenders in some trouble now. Last chance today to rescue the situation.
Yeah, really interesting move by Burling. He spun around, almost a traditional match race move there. Almost like he was going to follow, but he's going to get hooked quite possibly by Jimmy Spithill. They got slow after that maneuver. Spithill desperately trying to get an overlap underneath Emirates Team New Zealand. 35 seconds to go back to the line.
Okay, coming up to pit lane 100.
So this is Spithill's attempt to disrupt, to attack, to get in the face of the Kiwis, cause trouble.
But New Zealand got around the front of them. He never was able to get that overlap, and sure enough, he's going to have to gap off and go for a time and distance start. That was very well done by Burling. It looked marginal there for a second. And he did enough to keep his speed and keep the overlap from happening, and now it's just time and distance, boat speed to Mark 1.
So it looks like both boats are going to be across the line clean this time, and the Americans getting up on the foils nice and quick, and they've stolen a march this time on the New Zealanders. Could this be the time? Just they reach Mark 1 in front.
Yeah, did a better job of pulling the trigger there, no doubt about it. Had a little more momentum going off the line, and I think they're going to be able to roll over the top of Emirates Team New Zealand and use their wing wash to push them back a couple more boat lengths. But I'll tell you what, it's still close. Emirates Team New Zealand living in a really precarious spot right there. Just below the wing wash. You see that wing wash? They are just barely living in clear air, but sure enough, Oracle gets over the top.
So that's a turnaround. That is a change from the complexion of things out here in Bermuda during the America's Cup match so far. Oracle Team USA rounding Mark 1, heading downwind in the lead.
Will be fascinating to see if the mindset changes on Emirates Team New Zealand. They literally haven't been behind except for about a minute during that last leg, during that last race.
What do we read into the early jibe, Ken?
Well, it's the same as the first run in the last race. Oracle just being a little bit unstable. They're going to have to get pace on quick, or Emirates Team New Zealand's going to roll over the top. They were clearly unstable coming out of that jibe. That's exactly, you could hear it in his voice. That's what Jimmy Spithill is very fearful of in this new setup that they've pulled out after 5 days in the shed. But then they go. Once they go, they go. But can they avoid that instability?
So the lead minimal for the Americans right now, but they've retrieved the front running position.
I think the sailing world is looking for a great race right now. I mean, let's have a great race. Let's show these things off the way they should be showed off. Let's get a great race in here. And from all accounts, the start of it looks just like it. Emirates Team New Zealand just putting the pressure on and rounding the same gate, no split.
further in front of them. And again, the New Zealanders not interested in getting tight, up close and personal in behind. They're going to disappear off with the early jibe.
They were in a tough spot right there. They tacked away because they were in a bit of bad air, that wing wash from Oracle Team USA. So that was kind of a strategic move. They followed him in and split across. And now tactician Tom Slingsby and, well, whoever the tactician is, whether it's Blair Tuke or Peter Burling on board the Kiwi boat, now they have some decisions to make. You know, now the boats are split. Who's going to sail in the better wind pressure? This is where the pressure of the Kiwis is just unrelenting. They just keep it close. They just so rarely make mistakes that it forces you into sailing a perfect race. We've seen teams sail the perfect race against Emirates Team New Zealand. BAR, Freddie Carr sailed an unbelievable race against Emirates Team New Zealand to beat them in that semifinal round.
It takes something special, that's for sure.
How often can you do it?
Just nailing it on the consistency front. But Jimmy Spithill will feel a lot happier at the moment because this is a different complexion, a different dynamic right now. They're just asking one or two questions which haven't really been asked as yet. Looking for the Kiwis to chase them down.
Pretty low.
So let's get another view from out on the water from Freddie Carr, part of the British team out here in Bermuda. Freddie, what's catching your eye in the early exchanges here?
What's catching my eye is a kind of a repeat from the first race. The Americans do look quicker from the water. The standout comment off the onboard comms in the first race was the questions about the rudders off Oracle. And I think by changing their rudders, they fundamentally could have got faster through the water. But it must be so hard for Spithill every day to go out sailing with effectively a new feel to the boat. And I think we've seen 2 or 3 bad jibes from Oracle today. And maybe that's just him learning the new rudder system, the new board setup under the boat. From this point forwards, they will have to sail a perfect race to keep New Zealand behind them. But so far, so good for the Americans.
So far, so good. There is no doubt about it. You know, I think the question that everybody has at home is, why didn't they do this before? You know, it's very clearly a faster setup.
And they had that 2-week break while everybody else was scrapping it out in the Challenger playoffs. You would have thought, as you mentioned right at the top of the program, you would have thought that they would be the toy box open, as you like to describe it.
So Freddie, I mean, this is very clearly a different boat. Everybody's in agreement. All the little tweaks they did, everybody's also in agreement that they probably did way more than any of us ever know. But why didn't they do this before last weekend?
I think, in all honesty, Ken, you have to back your design philosophy, your designers, and you get there as a group of designers, but the sailing team have a huge amount of input in that. And they'll have been working towards last weekend for 2 years with strong beliefs in their foil packages. And it must have been a shock to them that they were such a long step behind the Kiwis. They must have hit the panic button a little bit, but like I said, they've made some changes and they are faster through the water. I'm just a little bit concerned with them in the light air jibes. They look a little sticky. They're usually very good at their foiling jibes in the light air, but today they look a little bit sticky.
That's a really interesting point, that the notion of having confidence in what you brought to the table initially, and at what point do you call time on it and go, right, that's not working. We need something else. We need something different.
Well, having that 5-day gap was, if you're an Oracle fan and Oracle Team USA team member, was a beautiful thing. Now, as we're talking about all this stuff, this boat does not ever go away. You know, we're going to see this next cross, and there's going to be 2 very close boats, both coming into split gates at the top mark.
The Americans with a slender advantage.
Both boats rounding this gate on opposite sides. So the possibilities of wind shifts or wind pressure, making a little more of a game of it on this next run.
One off, Doc. One off. Yeah, copy.
Clean manoeuvring from Jimmy Spithill's crew as they disappear up one side, and the New Zealanders heading off in another direction. We just saw a moment or two ago, actually, the wind shift graphic top left of our screen, which suggested that there was a slight shift to the right-hand side of the course.
Two reasonably well-sailed boats with our fly time indicator. Essentially, that means they splash down once, both of them. That's a very good indicator for Oracle Team USA because, as we've been talking about the whole time, the higher speed setup typically makes for more instability. And when you see Oracle Team USA up 100% of the time, for the most part, that is a very good sign for them.
It's the lead building here for the Americans. But you just don't get the impression that the Kiwis have had their final throw of the dice just yet.
Jimmy falling out of it. 5. Start to soften a little here. Copy. 3 guys. 40 this way. Pretty hot here. Quick 1, 2.
We hear them talking about the recharge, Ken. I think we need to reiterate, don't we, for those people who perhaps are quite new to the sailing world, but everything that happens on this boat, whether it's dropping the dagger boards, whether it's the angle of the foils, whether it's the trimming of the wing, it all needs power to make it happen. That's what those grinders are doing.
Hydraulic pressure, direct drive into the wing. You see a big wind puff on the horizon right now. Look at the angle differences between the two boats. Team New Zealand down here, Oracle, big angle change going up into it. That's a wind shift. They just don't go away. The Kiwis. That's one thing that split at the top gate did for them. Critical jibe right now for Oracle. One and into the gate. They need one more jibe and into the gate.
We can't get left here. We're
3, hold on. 1, 3, 2, 1. A little lighter again.
Very smoothly done, but you know, they went way out towards the ley line here. You wonder if they're overstood. I don't think New Zealand's going to.
They're going to have to maneuver one more
They're
time.
going to have to do that tough bottom end of the race course maneuver, that one last jibe. But I'll tell you what, they're diving down, trying to get around this gate. I'm not so sure if Oracle just overstood this mark. Goodness gracious.
Well, that's bold from New Zealand, really bold. And is it going to pay off at this bottom gate? They turn, and they turn in front, and they turn well. And now the Americans are the ones chasing again. And we have a proper race on. Peter Burling, the America's Cup rookie. The details guy, as so many like to describe him. Ice cool, very intuitive. And Jimmy Spithill, the youngest skipper to win the Cup back in 2010. Huge amounts of experience. So where's your money now, Ken?
I'm pretty stunned at that last turn of events. Kiwis just did such a good job staying in the dark water and the wind strength going down that run. Just literally sailed on by, and we'll try to go back and have a good look at whether they overstood that mark on board Oracle Team USA.
So when you talk about overstanding, you're talking about
sailing a longer distance. Yeah, sailing. I mean, there it is. They're sailing a longer distance in this race. You know, that's overstanding. That's sailing too far. The average speeds are almost identical, but when you sail a longer distance, then your VMG gets slower. So that longer distance made a big difference there.
VMG, the boat's velocity relative to the direction of their destination.
God bless you.
So just a couple of legs to go. And the Kiwis sniffing another victory.
Sit up, check on our numbers.
Maybe smelling a bit of blood, although you would be forgiven for thinking that Peter Burling is simply out for an afternoon drive in his truck.
He's talking about his mode right there, driving fast. They were kind of reaching over the top of Oracle Team USA. This is always a big decision for a tactician. Back in the monohull days, you would have seen Team New Zealand tack with Oracle every time there, but they're thinking about the geometry up the race course. Where's the pressure? Where's the dark water? And how can we possibly do fewer maneuvers compared to the other guy? Because they're taking a bit of a risk by actually splitting off there and not tacking directly with Oracle Team USA as they tacked away.
So the heart's racing a little bit for the Kiwi skipper, even though he's not showing it.
I think that's as high a heart rate as we've seen on young Peter Burling.
I would say so.
That might mean he actually is human.
There is a pulse.
There is a pulse.
We can confirm. But he's obviously just having a little think about what might unfold over the course of the next few minutes here out on the Great Sound.
Again,
because a 5-0 victory really would put them in the box seat. 2 wins away.
You're right, and it's a they're winning the geometry battle by allowing Oracle Team USA to tack away, split away there. Again, they took a risk. They came back together and clearly made a nice little game. So just guts on board that boat. Squirrel doesn't seem too worked up about it right now, does he?
I think he's letting the others get down and dirty. They're the guys who are really digging in physically.
So from a match racing standpoint, again, this split, these two, the Oracle needs a split right now. So just sailing along next to Emirates Team New Zealand is going to do them no good. They need the other side of the race course, maybe a little bit of a dark water in the up here left-hand side of the race course that they're looking at, but they need something. Desperately, they need 117 meters right now. Little dark water in the upper left-hand side of the race course. That's what they need. They need a wind shift. They need the breeze to possibly go in their favor. Doesn't look super windy on the right side of the race course where the Kiwis is right now.
4, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1, mate. Turning. Missing it. Feels like you're turning early, Jimmy. Start the boundary. Good game here, guys. Copy. Look at him. His battery's on.
So they wanted to go a little bit wider so they could maybe lay the gate, get in the first time.
Big gain. There's a dial down already happening with Emirates Team New Zealand right now. Look at that dial down. They're really deep.
Nothing in it.
I
The
tell you,
protest from the USA.
they dialed way down. They dialed low there. This is going to be very interesting. Whether they went too far on their dial down is the big question. It is in Richard Slater's hands right now. No penalty. Now, the boats come back together again. Oracle will be on starboard. New Zealand will be on port. If they get into that left-hand circle on the left-hand mark, they will have right away to get around it. But here we go again. We wanted real racing. We got real racing.
But this is as tight as it gets right now as they head towards gate 5.
Is Oracle dialing down? That's what Burling's saying right now. Can we cross or not?
No, push it down.
And if he dips, will he be able to make this mark in the upper corner? Is he going to be able to make that mark after the dip?
Just the closest of passes.
Take it in, boys. Okay.
And the Kiwis are just about going to squeeze in. By the look at it.
Just gets around the mark. Barely.
Really low.
Game on, even race. Slight advantage to Oracle right now. They were going quicker around that mark.
The narrow angle on that mark for the Kiwis just meant that their boat speed dropped away to 17 knots or so, while the Americans were able to sustain theirs at around 23, 24 knots.
And they still haven't gotten it back. The Kiwis are still slow, 24, 25. Americans speeding away at 30.
Last downwind leg. 150 meters or so in it, which means that there is every chance still for the Kiwis to claw it back. They won't be happy to see the barrows touching the water. They want to be up, foiling, clean, less drag.
30 seconds.
It was that patch in that dark water in the upper left-hand corner that got Oracle back in the game, and their maneuvers have been fantastic this race. We wanted a sailboat race. We got a sailboat race, Ellie.
Two. Get it light, Tommy. Happy. Your can's gone, Kinley. Yep. Swimming. Go hard in pitch. Guys, we're driving in 10, okay? Hit it, go. Taking this down, Jimmy. Here we go, in 3, 2, 1. Hold straight, Tommy.
If you ever wanted to drive one of these things, that's effectively what you're doing with the camera on Jimmy Spitehill's shoulder.
This maneuver, the jibe, double jibe here, and then reach. They're desperate for hydraulic power. You heard him say, hit it. Remember, they took Tom Slingsby's bicycle out of the back of the boat that was helping with hydraulics. His weight is forward today. He's actually on a coffee grinder today. There is no bike system. That was all about hydraulic pressure. Give it to the big boys in the front of the boat, pulling off those last 2 jibes. Really well done.
There are the grinders. There is just never any time for them to settle, to relax. They have to go full bore pretty much for the entirety of the race. But is it about to pay off with the first American victory of the America's Cup match itself? Have they got enough in the tank here to see off the Kiwis?
Go light on wind seat, Langers. Okay, we're good, boys. Hold the depth.
Dead straight ahead. You see the finish line right in the front of our screen. I'll tell you what, Oracle stays in. You can't give this team a bigger congratulations for just about a shellacking last week to throw everything at this and over the last 5 days and come up with a boat that's going this much faster. I myself, as well as just about everybody else in the sailing world, was starting to write them off. And man, oh man, was I wrong. I gotta change my plane flight on Monday.
Well, we want your opinions, we want your thoughts, we don't want you on the fence, but it is looking as if the Americans have done enough here. A performance of real character and resolve and resilience. They're going to hold off the Kiwi challenge. The New Zealanders have been gaining down this reach, but they won't have enough. It is going to be America's race. And the USA are back in business, back in the hunt, and in the nick of time. A vital win, which really breathes life into their ailing campaign. There is hope. There is hope in the USA camp. The margin of victory, a small one, but it matters not.
Good work. Here we go.
Here we go. There you go.
Full team effort, and leadership is always a massive part of that, but you can't get enough credit to the entire Oracle Team USA squad, top to bottom, for doing what they have clearly done over the last 5 days. Like I said before, I think all of us thought, how do you pull that off? There was quite a disparity last weekend, and I'm really impressed.
So let's see the race in a little more detail in terms of the split times at the end of each leg.
This is all the sailing world wanted to see, was unbelievably cool racing. Tons of passing, all kinds of dips, dial downs, fouls, protests. Here we go. I mean, let's just hope that this is a sign of what we have to come for the rest of this event, because that was a spectacular boat race.